So while my compatriots make their way up, so I got Bruce Doyema and Steve Manton and Philippe coming up to join us, we can't do the work we're trying to do without our donors and supporters, so please take a look at that as we're talking. Special thanks, Greg, to you and the IEC. As Juan Philippe said, the International Lake Foundation was a creation of the IEC, for those that don't know. All right, here we go. Well, by the way, this is my, I just thought about this, my 20th Fall Leadership Conference for the IEC in a row. And it's the first one I've been able to drive to. So that's pretty cool. So we were started in 2014 by the International Lake Commission as an independent charitable foundation registered in the US and in the UK. This is all about teaching people how to produce eggs. It's not about giving stuff away. The whole theory that if we can make a difference by helping small-scale farmers become commercially viable, and in turn they can provide food to their local communities and create a business out of that, that we will drive consumption in parts of the world where, quite frankly, there's little to no egg consumption there. So we're really help this industry also get a foothold in some developing places. So very, very unique concept and a very unique team. So I'm joined now by Steve Manton, who's our IEF trustee and he's our treasurer, Bruce Doyema from Center Fresh in the US, Pierre-Marie Bourne from France, Juan Philippe. There's two members, and by the way, I'm not sure if it's possible, Steve's stuff, pictures are flashing, but not the presentation, so sorry if I'm looking over my shoulder. Juan Philippe Montoya and Walter Siemens are two of our newest trustees from the IEC, and we're very pleased to recognize our newest trustee, John Starkey from the US, with the US Poultry and Egg Association, and also pleased to announce our CEO. Many of you know Cassie Price very well. So Cassie is now the Foundation's Chief Executive Officer. And in that, when John joined us, it was at the end of the 9-year term of Carlos Saviani with DSM, and Carlos did a phenomenal job. We'll miss him, but we hope to keep him involved with us in the future. Okay, so eggs are a little miracle. So there's egg programs all around the world, and not just ones we're doing, many others. In fact, tomorrow I'm looking forward to Danny Leckie's presentation. I know they're going to speak about Hatch. Had a great conversation with Danny about their work they're doing, and I think it's just a really exciting, interesting project that they have. So a bit of a spoiler alert, I think you'll enjoy tomorrow's conversation very much. But we can't do it without support, so full circle right back to our donors and supporters. We can't do this without you at all. So we focus on 4 areas I've talked about. 1, education and training, really helping small-scale farmers succeed. But in doing so, then that provides improved nutrition. There's never been a greater need around the world for protein-deficient areas, and the work that's being done is truly making a difference. And we got some really cool stories, and I think Steve and Philippe and Bruce will share some of projects and impact that they're having. And of course, use of technology is something that is a growing opportunity in our sectors. So one quick update, we did a Global Egg School, and Christopher's right there in the front row. So Lohman has been a supporter of this from the start, and their staff, Farad Mozar, Viola Halleck, and Sylvia Sobolewski, all have contributed their time to go to Zambia, and that was a fantastic program. We had 20 senior egg staff, so that was a train the trainers. And then the second day was 35 agricultural students. So this is this idea of small-scale farmers becoming commercially viable in the egg industry. So what I'm now going to do is ask Bruce Doyema to come up to the podium, and this is a project very near and dear to Bruce's heart, and plus another project that he's involved in.
Yeah, many of you know that I'm involved in a project in Mozambique, Africa, and this year I've been able to branch out a little bit thanks to my company, Center Fresh Egg in Versova. I was able to go to Honduras and check out a project brought to me by John Starkey, one of our new trustees. And this project in Honduras was started in 1989, and the One Egg organization joined him in 2018. And they have this 1,000-day egg program. And what they do is they service the agricultural community in Honduras. They have 33 communities, and they have 4 medical clinics in those communities. And what happens with this 1,000-day program is when these mothers come into the clinics and find out that they're pregnant, they are put on egg-a-day program. And we don't just give an egg a day to the mother, we give an egg a day to the whole family, because of course the mom's gonna give the egg to the family when they're short of food. So everyone in that family gets an egg a day during the pregnancy, during lactation, and then when the kid begins to eat, basically up until 3 years old. And in the picture here, you can see Dave Younger, CEO of the One Egg, and myself with his family. And we got to interview this mom and her family. Her first 2 kids were not in the program, and we asked her, what was the pregnancy like? And she said, well, I was very lazy, tired, didn't care to do anything. And her first 2 children were born at 5 pounds of weight, and they didn't learn to walk until they were a year and a half old. And her third child, she was put on the One Egg program during her pregnancy. She said she had all kinds of energy, she felt normal, she could do her daily routines and whatever. And the child was born at 9 pounds of weight, and the child is now 9.5 months old and beginning to walk. And the only thing different in her diet was having that 1 egg a day program. And we heard that from several other mothers as well. And the other picture is a picture of the medical staff at one of the clinics. So the second project that I went to a week later was in Mokopane, South Africa. It's called Blessman International, and they were established in 2001. It's a child feeding program. They base their program on 5 to 12-year-old kids. It's an after-school program. Most of the kids go to school and they're let out at 2 o'clock, and their parents are still working. And of course, the kids don't have anywhere to go. So Blessman International, it's an after-school program where the kids can be tutored, they're given a meal, and they also have sports programs, sports activities to keep these kids busy and entertained. But one of the things that they've done now is introduced One Egg in their feeding program. And this year they will serve over 6 million meals at 11 different feeding hubs around northern South Africa. And the cool thing about these 2 projects is, now that I've gotten involved with them, is the Honduras project wants to continue the program and put an egg project in their school where they can, instead of ending the program with a 3-year-old, they can continue it all the way through for the 5 to 12-year-olds. And Blessman International wants to start the 1,000-day program. So lots of opportunity out there. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Appreciate that. And then just one more point on that. So with the Honduras project, really pleased we're being supported through that with equipment through Big Dutchman, and we're definitely looking for some sponsorship in support of both those projects. IEF is not yet directly involved in Blessman, but you saw the reference to training, so we'll be involved in that down the road. And we're still involved on the side with training with Project Canaan Heart for Africa. That really, though, is driven by the Egg Farmers of Canada and their team. They've been supporting that since the start and continue to. In fact, I know that Roger and the team are going over there again for a visit in November. To date on that, we've fed over 11 million eggs to the community through a network of 30 churches and schools. That's like 100,000 meals a month that are going to orphans and vulnerable children. And there's now over 370 children living at the children's home in Eswatini, Africa, called Project Canaan. So thanks to the Egg Farmers of Canada for that continued support for all of these years. And then the last one I'm going to touch on before I turn it over to Steve and Philippe is we've also been doing some technical training through the Kwaba Zulu Natal Poultry Institute. So what we do is arrange guest speakers, some of you in this room, quite frankly, that have volunteered your time and expertise to talk to small-scale farmers. And it's a 5-day course that people can take. So thanks to Jonathan Wright, Dr. Mickey Rubin from the American Egg Board, and Dr. Murtala Umar Farouk from DSM. So thanks for all your support on that initiative as well. So Steve, I'm now going to turn it over to you and Philippe to talk about Uganda and Kenya.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon, everybody. What we got there, we've got one set of pictures running down here, and we've got some up here. Anyway, as trustee and treasurer, IEF, I personally have really dug deep this year, and I've been happy to host 2 trips down into to Africa this summer. Trip 1 was, as Tim's already alluded to, with the good people of Lomond, and again, I was with these people, hands-on as it were. So again, special thanks to Viola and Farad, and also Sylvia on her Nuffield Scholarship. Now, I think it's appropriate to mention that as trustees, we pay our own way. So every penny that we gather goes to the greater good. And when I bring Philip into this conversation, just to make reference that Philip, I asked him to accompany me on the second trip, and he was happy to do so, given his time free and his input. So again, while I'm thanking everybody, Philip comes in on that. There are some pictures running down here that Mary managed to slip in at lunchtime. I don't know whether, oh yeah, they've popped up here. So while I'm speaking, a picture tells 1,000 words. I'll try and pick on 1 or 2 of them, and then I'll come in order to the chicken ownership program in Uganda. So the first port of call I made with Philip was UNICEF in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And this was an inquiry that came through to Julian quite a while ago about some kit that they'd put in, which you're seeing now. And it's like a pilot braking station and a little tower dryer. But it doesn't work. They'd done the best they could. And that's why I decided to take Philip with me to try and give me some help and advice on how to move this thing forward. You can see by the pictures, this is in downtown Addis, that they work into a good standard there, but the engineering, the product doesn't work as it should, and the dimension we're adding, and I'm adding, is to bring expertise into that equation and make the equipment run properly. So that was Addis. We then went to Uganda, the chicken ownership program with trust lines, Entebbe, Kampala, and 2 rural villages. That was an experience in itself. Way out in the sticks, some of the kids had never seen white people, so we were quite amused to them. But they're working good. I was happy as an auditor for IEF that the money that we're investing, especially in one of the rural settings in Uganda, has been invested properly. We put $6,500 into a barn. The barn's built, and the guy who you see there in the picture in the centre, Edward, he's doing a great job. The good-looking one there in the picture is the rooster, and of course Philip. And that was the school we visited, and those were the rooster and the hens arriving by motorcycle to be presented to the children. The picture of the eggs in the store, that was the best I could find in a local supermarket. So that's the van that we've, as IEF, have, and that's the local market. Oh, that's Kenya, yeah. So I could go on and drill down in the stories to be told. Those are boiled eggs at the local market. But I'm conscious of time, and I want to leave enough time for Philip to say what he thought as one of my companions, travel companions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was very happy to be invited to go to Africa. It was my first time in East Central Africa, and it was a heartbreaking trip, I have to say, because the misery you see there is undescribable. The pictures we take here from the mountains are not showing the beauty, but in Africa the pictures look much better than what it really is. In Ethiopia, there is 120 million people, and 20% of them are malnourished. And of the kids, 1/3 of them, under 5, are malnourished. So UNICEF came up with a program to make beans or nuts for babies that they could, I think they spend $150 million a year to distribute protein foods to the kids. The reason why they're also malnourished is because of religion. They're Orthodox Christians, and they fast 200 days a year. It's unbelievable. And they are very strict in it. So when they cook, they will not use any meat or fish during those days, and the kids will also not get any protein. So UNICEF has the idea to start making egg powder and also distribute that as an animal protein source to the malnourished kids. So that's now the equipment was wrong chosen, and we will try to make it work or replace it with equipment that is made for egg products and not for milk. Or they had a pasteurizer, but that was a sterilizer which made already omelets before it had to be dried. So yeah, that factory is standing idle for 2 years now, I think, and they spent 1.5 million euros on it, donated by the EU. So yeah, we'll make that work. And it was a heartbreaking experience, and when I got back, I thought, well, we have to send second-hand equipment or whatever we can to help them. But it's not always easy. Transport there is no electricity there. Yeah, it's difficult to think what to do. So I would encourage you to tick the box when you are having the chance to donate to the IEF. And the IEF is doing a very good job there. They have people on the ground that know where to help, and because you need local people to do the good job. So again, thank you, and I hope you will support heavily the IEF.
Thanks, Philippe. So we'll conclude, and thank you for your kind attention. Please do consider it is your charitable foundation, part of the IEC family, and I think you can take pride in the difference the foundation is making. I think as well, and they were talking even around the marketing side, building this positive story and narrative about your product, the role of corporations in society to do good and to give back. I think it's an important part of this narrative as well. And finally, we're working in parts of the world where there simply is no egg production or consumption, so it's green fields in some way, and a real opportunity to grow. So thank you for your time, thank you for your attention, and thanks again to all of our partners and donors. Appreciate it.